Meghan Markle's creepy Prince William stalking has just been uncovered, and what it shows you is that she is still completely obsessed with the other brother.
What do you do when you've burned every bridge, fired every expert, and the only playbook you have left is someone else's? That's the question surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle right now. Because what happened this past Trooping the Color weekend wasn't just embarrassing, it was revealing, in the most uncomfortable way possible. Harry was spotted flipping burgers at a food van, pulling faces for the camera, working the crowd. Fun, right? Casual, relatable. Except, and this is the part that matters, it wasn't any of those things. Because 3 months earlier, Prince William walked into a pasty shop in Cornwall, answered a stranger's phone call by accident, and without a single PR person planning it, made headlines around the world. The difference between those two moments tells you everything you need to know about where Harry and Meghan are right now, and why, no matter what they try next, it keeps not working. Let's break it down. The playbook they're working from. Here's what's really going on behind the scenes with Harry and Meghan, and it's something sources have been picking up on for a while now. They study what works for the royal family. Closely, carefully, almost obsessively. When something lands well for William or Catherine, a viral moment, a public appearance that gets positive coverage, it gets noted, analyzed, and then, at some point down the line, attempted. That's not speculation. You can see it in the pattern. William has a spontaneous, warm public moment. Harry schedules a spontaneous public appearance within weeks. Catherine gets praised for her elegance and poise. Meghan pivots to a fashion-forward rebrand. The royal family's work ethic starts winning back public opinion. Suddenly, Harry and Meghan are making more visible appearances, trying to remind people why they used to like them. The problem? Authenticity doesn't copy, and when you try to replicate a moment that worked precisely because it wasn't planned, what you get is the opposite of what you were going for. The Cornwall moment. William didn't plan. Let's talk about what actually happened with William in Cornwall, because it's worth understanding properly. William was visiting the region, part of his work connected to the Duchy of Cornwall. Normal, scheduled, official. And then completely out of nowhere, someone's phone rang. A local woman was calling to place an order. Pasties. And instead of the usual person picking up, William answered. He didn't hesitate, didn't look at a communications advisor, didn't think about how this would play. He just picked up the phone, had a genuinely warm and funny conversation, and went with it. That clip went around the world, not because a PR team crafted it, not because it was strategically timed, but because it was real. You cannot fake that kind of ease. You cannot schedule that kind of charm. And that is exactly what made it so powerful, and exactly what made it so impossible to replicate. Harry's burger van moment. Now, let's talk about what Harry did. Trooping the Color weekend. One of the most watched royal events of the year. The kind of weekend where public attention is naturally focused on the British monarchy, on the pageantry, on William and Catherine and the children on the balcony. Harry chose this particular weekend to show up at a Warrior Games event, serving burgers from a food van, pulling funny faces, playing to the crowd. The intention was clear. Look at me, I can be fun too. I'm still here. Remember why you liked me. But the coverage that followed wasn't what they were hoping for. Headlines weren't talking about Harry's warmth or his connection with people. They were asking a different question entirely. Is this what it's come to? And that's the brutal reality of what happens. When a calculated move masquerades as a spontaneous one, people can tell. They might not be able to articulate exactly why something feels off, but they feel it, and the response reflects that. The burger van moment didn't remind people why they liked Harry. It reminded people how far things have fallen, why copying never works. Here's the deeper issue, and it's one that gets to the heart of where Harry and Meghan have gone wrong strategically. Authentic moments work because they are expressions of who someone actually is. William answering that phone wasn't a performance of warmth. It was warmth. It worked because it was consistent with who William is in every other context. His informality is real. His ease with people is real. The moment confirmed something the public already sensed about him. When Harry tries to replicate that energy, the problem isn't the execution. It's the context. Harry's entire public narrative for the past several years has been built around grievance, distance, and conflict with the institution he grew up in. When someone who has spent years positioning himself as a victim of the establishment suddenly shows up grinning and flipping burgers, The two things don't connect, they don't add up, and the public instinctively doesn't know what to do with that. You cannot spend years telling the world how much damage your family did to you, and then expect a burger van appearance to make people forget all of that and see you as fun and carefree. The narrative doesn't allow it, and that narrative, the one Harry and Meghan built brick by brick, interview by interview, is now the cage they're living in. The staff problem nobody talks about. There's another dimension to this that doesn't get enough attention. Harry and Meghan have over the years gone through an extraordinary number of staff. Advisors, communications professionals, people who understood the media landscape, who knew how to read a moment, who could tell them, honestly and clearly, when an idea was good and when it wasn't. Most of those people are gone now. And here's the size. The interesting thing about why they don't speak publicly about their experiences. It's not just the NDAs, though those exist and matter. It's that discretion is their professional currency. Their ability to get future clients depends on the reputation they carry, so they stay quiet. But their silence doesn't mean they'd have nothing to say. What it means is that Harry and Meghan are now, to a significant degree, operating on their own instincts. Making calls based on what they remember working, sometimes 15 years ago, without people around them who understand what the current moment actually requires. And the current moment is very different from any moment they've previously navigated. What the polls are actually saying. Let's talk about where public opinion actually stands, because this matters enormously to understanding why Harry and Meghan are in scramble mode right now. Recent polling paints a picture that is difficult to spin your way out of. The consistent descriptors that come up in association with Harry and Meghan aren't warm. They aren't fun. They aren't the couple the public wants to root for. The words that keep appearing? Moaning, complaining, never satisfied, always seeking something, always positioning as victims, always just slightly, grifting. And that perception, once it sets in at a public level, is extraordinarily difficult to shift, because every new move gets filtered through it. A fun appearance becomes, why are they doing this? A charitable gesture becomes, what are they getting out of this? A lifestyle pivot becomes, what are they selling now? The public's goodwill is not infinite, and the way Harry and Meghan have spent the last several years has cost them more of it than they seem to fully appreciate. Meanwhile, on the other side of this story, the royal family, who Harry and Meghan clearly expected to be diminished by everything that has come out, has done something quietly remarkable. They turned up every day. They did the work. They didn't fire back publicly. They let the record speak. And the record is speaking. The Meghan problem. Let's be direct about something for a moment. Meghan Markle is an intelligent, ambitious, capable woman. Nobody disputes that. But intelligence and ambition, without the right people around you, without honest counsel, without a clear-eyed read of what the current moment actually requires, those qualities alone aren't enough. The fashion pivot doesn't work. Not because Meghan isn't stylish, but because the comparison is unavoidable. Catherine, Princess of Wales, exists. She is there. She is one of the most photographed and admired women in the world. You cannot out-elegant Catherine. You cannot out-poise her. You cannot beat her at that game. And here's the thing. Anyone with real expertise in image management would have told Meghan that clearly and early. Stop competing on a battlefield where you cannot win. Find your own ground. Build something that is genuinely yours. But that requires honest advisors. People who will tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear. And those people, it seems, are no longer in the room. What comes next? So where does this go? The pattern, unfortunately for Harry and Meghan, is fairly predictable at this point. William has another authentic moment. It lands well. Harry studies it. A version of it surfaces in California a few weeks later. It doesn't land. New headlines about their direction, their brand, their future. Brief pivot. Repeat. What would actually change the trajectory? Genuine authenticity. Not performed spontaneity, but something that comes from who Harry and Meghan actually are. Separate from the royal family. Separate from the grievances. Separate from the old stories. Something that isn't a reaction to what William and Catherine are doing, but a genuine expression of what they stand for on their own terms. That would require them to stop looking across the Atlantic for inspiration, and stop mirroring, stop reacting, and start building something real. Whether they're capable of making that shift with the team they currently have after the choices they've made is the question that nobody around them seems able to answer right now. The bigger picture. There's a larger story here that's worth pausing on. What we're watching in real time is the royal family winning. Not dramatically, not in one decisive moment, but consistently, quietly, and permanently. Showing up, doing the work, being present. And on the other side, two people who had access to something genuinely remarkable, who chose to walk away from it, and are now discovering that the thing they walked away from is harder to replicate than they ever imagined. The public's patience for grievance has limits. People want to root for someone. They want a reason to admire. And right now, every time Harry and Meghan give them a burger van moment, the royal family gives them a Cornwall pasty shop moment. One is planned. One is real. And people know the difference. And that is where things stand in June 2026. Harry and Meghan, operating without the right team, copying moves that only work when they're genuine, watching the public's patience quietly run out, while the institution they left just keeps showing up and doing the work. Now I want to know what you think. Can Harry and Meghan turn this around, or is the gap too wide now to close? Leave your honest take in the comments. I genuinely read every single one, and some of your comments are better than anything I could write. If you found this video worth your time, hit that like button. It costs you nothing, and it genuinely helps this channel. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We cover stories like this every week that you are not going to find anywhere else. See you in the next one.